Today I'm going to talk about one of the major differences between kinesiological stretching techniques and regular stretching techniques. Now, a lot of people know that the main difference is target and leverage. In other words, a passive stretch is simply held. Target and leverage, we pick a muscle, we break it down into various movements that muscle does, and we use one of those movements to create distance or length for the other. That is one difference. I'm going to talk about another difference. The word kinesiological in kinesiological stretching techniques, of course, applies to the fact that we take a specific muscle and we work that muscle based on the kinesiology of that muscle, and thus target and leverage, but also breaking down of various movements or skills into muscles. For example, you're trying to do a true front split, one leg in front, one in the back, and you might have just one of the hamstring muscles holding you back, or you might have just one or two of the hip flexors, not all six holding you back. Maybe one of the adductors holding you back. Now, if you don't know which one, you're probably going to end up stretching the whole thing instead of focusing on that specific one, thus making your job a lot easier and getting that skill a lot faster. In this case in point, I'm going to talk about the wrist flexion. So there's various muscles that extend the wrist, and most people focus on the fingers. So for instance, somebody might hold a passive stretch like this, or somebody might pull the fingers in, which is of course better because some of the tendons cross further. A lot of times the muscle that moves the thumb is neglected. But we have two muscles, tensor pollicis longus and brevis. Now, both of these muscles cross the thumb. Of course, they move the thumb, but interestingly enough, they also extend the wrist. So if you're looking for good wrist flexion and you neglect those muscles, you focus on all the muscles that travel through the rest of the four fingers, you neglect this one, you may not get good wrist flexion because this muscle also extends. However, not knowing the kinesiology, you may not pay attention to it. So someone who's just thinking, well, I need this position, they're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing like this, and they may not pay attention to this muscle, not knowing that it runs in such a way that it can also hinder the flexion. So we have over 100 easy flexibility programs. They all use kinesiological stretching techniques and accessory exercises. So this specific program is for the false grip. False grip basically is holding the rings in a certain way, and it requires a lot of flexion of the wrist, so the extent this must be stretched. So when you do certain skills, for instance muscle ups, regardless if you do it on the rings or if you do it on the bar, if you have good false grip, it really helps. So one gentleman wrote to us and he wanted to get a muscle up on the rings. He knew he needed the false grip. He was working on the false grip simply by doing this, pressing into the floor, and he was having issues. And he was having issues on this side. He felt it on this side, right here. But he didn't know that these muscles here also prevent that. Once he got the DVD, he started working on it, he started doing all the exercises, and he started doing that one as well. Okay? So the specific kinesiological stretching technique for it calls for the leverage as movement of the thumb, here, leverage movement of the thumb, and target, of course, is the flexion. So by doing that, he got the range of motion very quickly, plus the accessory exercises, which helped to sustain that position. He was able to do that quickly because the exercise program breaks down the skill into each muscle. And that specific muscle gets in the way for a lot of people looking for the wrist flexion. I'm just talking about wrist flexion right now, but this applies to any skill because there are a lot of different muscles involved in each skill. We take your skill or whatever movement that you're trying to master, we break it down into the muscle, we attack each muscle individually. If one or two of them hold it back, we can focus in on it and get your flexibility very fast that way. I'm Paul Dajcik, thank you for watching.